settle into the sleepy mind channel, where tonight we leave the familiar world of forests, mountains, and ancient civilizations behind as we descend beneath the quiet surface of the sea. Sunlight dances across gentle waves before fading into deeper shades of blue, where ocean currents drift patiently across the planet, just as they have for millions of years. In this vast underwater world lives a creature so small that it could easily rest upon the tip of your finger, yet it possesses one of the most extraordinary abilities ever discovered in the natural world. While every living thing eventually grows older, this tiny jellyfish appears capable of turning back its own biological clock, beginning life all over again through a process that has fascinated scientists for decades. It sounds almost like science fiction, yet hidden beneath the waves, this remarkable story quietly unfolds every day. For centuries, people have looked to the oceans as places of mystery. Long before anyone understood marine biology, sailors told stories of strange glowing waters, enormous sea creatures, and hidden worlds beneath the waves. Today we know far more about the oceans than our ancestors ever imagined, yet they remain among the least explored places on Earth. More than 70% of our planet is covered by water, and much of that underwater world has never been seen directly by human eyes. Countless species continue drifting through darkness, following ancient rhythms that began hundreds of millions of years before humans ever walked upon the land. Among those countless forms of life, one tiny jellyfish has quietly challenged one of biology's oldest assumptions, the idea that every living creature can move through life in only one direction. If you enjoy videos like these, feel free to like and subscribe. For all night listening, be sure to check out the playlist, where you'll find many more relaxing journeys through history, science, nature, and the remarkable stories hidden within our world. The animal at the heart of tonight's journey is known by the scientific name Turritopsis dohrnii, although it has become much more widely known by another name, the immortal jellyfish. After all, aging is one of the few experiences shared by nearly every living thing. From the smallest insects to the largest whales, life normally follows a familiar path. Organisms are born, they grow, they mature, they reproduce, and eventually they die. This steady progression has shaped life on Earth for hundreds of millions of years, yet this tiny jellyfish appears capable of doing something that almost no other animal has ever been observed doing. Under certain conditions, rather than continuing toward death, it can reverse its own development and return to an earlier stage of life, almost as though time itself has quietly begun flowing backward. That astonishing ability has made the immortal jellyfish one of the most intensely studied marine animals, despite its incredibly small size. An adult Turritopsis dohrnii usually measures only a few millimeters across. Many people swimming in the ocean would never notice one drifting nearby. It has no impressive teeth, no powerful fins, no giant body, and no obvious features that would make it stand out among the thousands of other creatures living beneath the waves. If you were shown photographs of hundreds of tiny jellyfish, there is every chance you would overlook this remarkable species entirely, never suspecting that it possesses one of the strangest biological abilities ever documented. Extraordinary discoveries do not always come from enormous animals or dramatic landscapes. A microscopic bacterium may transform modern medicine. A tiny insect can influence entire forests. A seed no larger than a grain of rice can eventually become a towering tree. In much the same way, This nearly transparent jellyfish has encouraged scientists to rethink long-held ideas about aging, development, and the remarkable flexibility hidden inside living cells. By studying one of the smallest animals in the ocean, researchers have opened entirely new questions about how life grows, repairs itself, and changes over time. To understand why the immortal jellyfish is so unusual, it helps to first understand what aging normally means. Every living organism is built from cells, tiny living units carrying out countless tasks every second of every day. As animals grow, these cells divide, specialize, and gradually become committed to particular roles. Some become muscle cells responsible for movement. Others become nerve cells carrying electrical signals throughout the body. Still others become skin, blood, or digestive tissue. In most animals, once a cell has settled into one of these specialized jobs, it rarely changes into something completely different. Development moves steadily forward, following a carefully organized sequence that continues throughout life until the organism eventually reaches old age. The immortal jellyfish challenges that familiar pattern in a remarkable way. Under conditions such as injury, illness, starvation, or severe environmental stress, it can interrupt the normal course of its life cycle. Rather than continuing toward decline, many of its specialized cells begin transforming into entirely different kinds of cells. Structures that once formed part of the adult jellyfish gradually reorganize themselves into the tissues of a much younger stage of life. Instead of remaining an adult drifting through the sea, the jellyfish begins a remarkable biological journey backward, eventually returning to a small stationary form known as a polyp. From that point, it can begin developing once again, eventually producing another adult jellyfish and repeating the cycle. The process seems almost unbelievable because it appears to reverse one of life's most familiar directions. Yet it is not magic, nor is it true immortality in the way stories and legends often describe. The jellyfish can still be eaten by predators. It can still die from disease, pollution, or environmental changes. Its extraordinary reputation comes from something much more subtle. Instead of aging naturally until old age ends its life, it possesses the remarkable ability to restart its own biological development under certain circumstances. Among all the countless forms of life discovered on Earth, that remains one of the rarest and most fascinating abilities ever observed. The deeper scientists looked into this tiny drifting animal, the more extraordinary its story became. What first appeared to be an ordinary jellyfish slowly revealed itself as one of the greatest biological mysteries hidden beneath the waves. Understanding how such a remarkable transformation is possible would require exploring not only the life of a single species, but also the ancient history of jellyfish themselves, creatures whose ancestors were already drifting through Earth's oceans long before the first dinosaurs ever appeared upon the land. They appeared long before flowering plants covered the continents, before birds filled the skies, before mammals walked through forests, and even before the mighty dinosaurs ruled the land. While entire groups of animals rose, flourished, and eventually disappeared through mass extinctions, jellyfish continued floating quietly through changing seas. Their bodies may appear fragile, almost weightless beneath the water, but their evolutionary story is one of extraordinary endurance. This long history is one reason scientists find jellyfish so fascinating. They represent one of the oldest surviving body designs still found on Earth today. Unlike mammals, birds, or reptiles with complex skeletons and highly specialized organs, jellyfish have remained surprisingly simple. Their bodies consist mostly of water, surrounded by a thin layer of living tissue arranged into a graceful bell shape. Beneath that transparent umbrella hang delicate tentacles that trail gently behind as the animal moves through the sea. Their movement is wonderfully gentle. Instead of swimming continuously like fish, jellyfish move by slowly contracting and relaxing the muscles around the edge of their bell. Each contraction pushes a small amount of water behind them, allowing them to glide forward before drifting once again with the surrounding current. Most of the time, the ocean itself does far more traveling than the jellyfish ever could. Vast currents carry them across incredible distances, linking coastlines and entire oceans together in ways that remain largely invisible from the surface. Imagine floating beside one on a calm summer morning. Sunlight filters down through the clear blue water in long, shimmering columns that sway gently with the movement of the waves above. Tiny particles drift lazily in every direction, catching the light like dust floating through the beams of sunlight entering a quiet room. Small fish weave effortlessly between patches of seagrass, while distant schools shimmer like clouds of silver. The jellyfish pulses only occasionally, allowing the current to guide its journey. There is no hurry anywhere beneath the surface. Every movement seems to belong to the slow rhythm of the sea itself. This peaceful appearance often surprises people because jellyfish are highly effective hunters, despite lacking many of the features normally associated with predators. They possess no jaws, no teeth, and no powerful limbs for chasing prey. Instead, they rely upon thousands of tiny specialized cells called nematocysts. These remarkable structures are among the fastest biological mechanisms known in nature. Each one contains an incredibly small harpoon-like thread held under enormous pressure. When triggered by the touch of suitable prey, the thread fires almost instantly, delivering venom that helps capture tiny drifting animals before they can escape. Although invisible to the naked eye, these microscopic structures allow even delicate jellyfish to feed successfully within the open ocean. Most of their prey consists of plankton, the countless microscopic organisms drifting throughout the world's oceans. Plankton may seem insignificant because individual organisms are so incredibly small, yet together they form one of the most important foundations of marine life. Tiny crustaceans, microscopic algae, larval fish, and countless other drifting creatures all belong to this remarkable community. Without plankton, the oceans would become almost unrecognizable, for countless marine animals depend directly or indirectly upon this endless drifting feast. The immortal jellyfish lives within this constantly moving environment. It does not choose a permanent home or defend a particular territory. Instead, its world is defined by the water surrounding it at any given moment. One current may carry it through sunlit coastal waters rich with microscopic life, while another gradually transports it into deeper regions where the light becomes softer and the colors of the sea slowly shift from brilliant blue to deeper shades of indigo. Although the immortal jellyfish has become famous for its unusual biology, it is first and foremost a jellyfish, sharing many characteristics with hundreds of related species found throughout the world's oceans. Some are so small, they remain almost invisible until sunlight catches their transparent bodies. Others grow to astonishing sizes, trailing tentacles many meters behind them as they drift through colder seas. Some glow with beautiful shades of green or blue beneath the darkness of the deep ocean, while others spend their entire lives in warm tropical waters surrounded by colorful coral reefs. Together, they form an incredibly diverse family of animals, occupying nearly every marine environment on Earth. Throughout Earth's history, jellyfish endured changing climates, shifting continents, volcanic eruptions, and multiple mass extinctions that eliminated many other forms of life. Their success lies partly in their simplicity. Rather than depending upon complicated structures that require precise environmental conditions, jellyfish have remained flexible, adapting quietly to changing oceans, generation after generation. Their story reminds us that survival does not always belong to the strongest or the largest. Among all those ancient survivors drifting silently through the oceans, one tiny species eventually developed an ability unlike almost anything else found in nature. Hidden inside its transparent body was a remarkable biological process that would remain unnoticed for millions of years until modern science finally uncovered it. To understand that extraordinary discovery, we must look even more closely inside the immortal jellyfish itself, into a world of living cells, where one of biology's greatest mysteries quietly unfolds beneath the surface of the sea. Inside every living creature, from the tallest redwood tree to the smallest jellyfish drifting through the sea, countless cells work together with extraordinary precision. Each one performs a particular task, while constantly communicating with its neighbors through an intricate network of chemical signals. Some cells gather nutrients, others provide structure, while still others carry electrical messages or defend the body against disease. Although we often think of an animal as a single living organism, it is really an entire community of specialized cells cooperating every moment of its existence. The immortal jellyfish follows this same pattern, yet hidden within its tiny, transparent body is a remarkable ability that allows many of those cells to abandon one role and quietly begin another. To appreciate how unusual this is, imagine a master carpenter suddenly becoming a skilled musician overnight without years of practice, or a gardener instantly transforming into an architect while remembering every detail of the new profession. In most living organisms, such dramatic changes simply do not happen. Once a cell has developed into a particular type, its future becomes surprisingly limited. A muscle cell remains a muscle cell. A nerve cell continues transmitting electrical signals. Skin cells replace worn outer layers, while digestive cells continue helping process food. Each has a carefully defined purpose that normally remains unchanged throughout the life of the organism. Scientists refer to this process as cellular specialization. During the earliest stages of life, an embryo begins as only a small collection of cells that possess enormous potential. As development continues, those cells gradually receive instructions directing them toward increasingly specialized roles. Some become heart tissue, others develop into muscle, bone, blood, or skin. The remarkable complexity of every animal depends upon billions of cells quietly accepting their individual responsibilities while working together as a single living system. In most species, that journey moves steadily in only one direction. Development advances from youth toward maturity without turning back. The immortal jellyfish, however, possesses an astonishing exception to this familiar rule. When conditions become especially difficult, many of its mature cells can begin reversing their own specialization through a process known as transdifferentiation. Although the word may sound complicated, the underlying idea is wonderfully elegant. Instead of remaining committed to their original role, certain cells begin transforming directly into entirely different kinds of cells. Muscle tissue may contribute to forming new structures. Other specialized cells reorganize themselves into tissues normally found only during much earlier stages of development. Rather than building something completely new from the beginning, the jellyfish carefully rearranges the living materials it already possesses. This transformation does not happen instantly. It unfolds gradually over days as the adult jellyfish begins shrinking and changing shape. The tentacles begin disappearing, while the body contracts into an increasingly simple structure. Eventually, the animal settles onto a solid surface beneath the sea, attaching itself much like a tiny sea anemone. At this point, it no longer resembles the transparent jellyfish that floated through open water only a short time earlier. Instead, it has returned to the quiet, stationary stage of life known as the polyp. The polyp is a surprisingly humble beginning for such an extraordinary animal. Measuring only a few millimeters in height, it anchors itself to rocks, shells, seaweed, or other firm surfaces where gentle ocean currents continue carrying microscopic food within reach. Tiny tentacles surrounding its upper surface capture passing plankton, while the rest of the body remains firmly attached beneath the water. At first glance, there is little to suggest that this simple structure will eventually produce another free-swimming jellyfish. Yet hidden within its tissues, countless cells continue dividing, growing, and organizing themselves with remarkable precision. From this quiet stage, the cycle begins once again. Small buds gradually develop along the polyp before separating into young jellyfish, known as medusae. If conditions remain favorable, they mature into adult jellyfish capable of reproducing in the usual way. Yet should severe stress arise later in life, the remarkable process may begin all over again, allowing the animal to return to the polyp stage rather than continuing toward natural aging. It is important to remember that scientists are still studying every detail of this extraordinary transformation. Although researchers understand the overall process remarkably well, many of the molecular instructions guiding individual cells remain only partly understood. Hidden within the jellyfish's DNA are countless genes controlling when particular proteins are produced, when cells divide, and how tissues reorganize themselves during the reversal. Modern genetic research continues uncovering these intricate biological instructions, revealing an astonishing level of organization inside an animal scarcely larger than a grain of rice. The discovery of transdifferentiation within the immortal jellyfish has attracted scientists from many different fields of biology. Marine biologists study how the process functions in the natural environment, while geneticists investigate the genes responsible for initiating the transformation. Cell biologists examine the remarkable flexibility displayed by mature tissues, and medical researchers hope that understanding these natural mechanisms may eventually improve treatments for injuries or degenerative diseases affecting humans. No one expects people to become biologically immortal by studying jellyfish, yet nature often solves complex problems in elegant ways that inspire entirely new areas of scientific research. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of all is that this extraordinary process takes place quietly beneath the surface of the ocean, completely unnoticed by almost every other creature sharing the same waters. While schools of fish continue their migrations, sea turtles glide gracefully overhead, and ocean currents carry plankton across the sea, one tiny transparent jellyfish may be calmly reorganizing its entire body at the cellular level. Hidden from view, without drama or spectacle, millions of living cells cooperate with astonishing precision to accomplish something that still challenges our understanding of how life itself can change, adapt, and begin anew. Although the immortal jellyfish has become famous for its ability to reverse its life cycle, it is important to remember that this remarkable process is not something it performs every day. It drifts with the currents, captures microscopic prey, grows, and reproduces just as hundreds of other jellyfish species do throughout the world's oceans. The extraordinary transformation usually occurs only when the animal experiences severe stress, almost as though it possesses a biological emergency plan that allows it to abandon one stage of life and begin again from an earlier point. Scientists believe several different situations may trigger this remarkable response. Physical injury is one possibility. If the jellyfish suffers significant damage that threatens its survival, returning to the polyp stage may offer an opportunity to rebuild rather than continue struggling as a weakened adult. Sudden changes in temperature, dramatic shifts in the salt content of the surrounding water, starvation, or other forms of environmental stress may also encourage the transformation. The process appears to be a response to difficult conditions rather than a regularly scheduled event within the animal's life. This makes perfect sense when viewed through the lens of evolution. Nature rarely preserves complicated biological abilities unless they provide a meaningful advantage. Producing an entirely new adult jellyfish requires considerable energy, so beginning life again would only be worthwhile if it offered a better chance of long-term survival than remaining in the current state. By returning to the stationary polyp stage, the animal may be able to wait patiently until environmental conditions improve before producing another generation of drifting medusae. The ocean itself is a constantly changing environment. From the surface, the sea may appear calm and predictable, yet beneath the waves conditions shift continually. Powerful currents transport warmer and colder water across entire ocean basins. Storms stir nutrients upward from deeper layers. Seasonal changes influence the amount of sunlight reaching different depths, while tides rhythmically reshape coastal habitats every single day. Even small changes in temperature or salinity can influence countless marine organisms living within these waters. For a tiny jellyfish measuring only a few millimeters across, the surrounding environment is never completely constant. Ocean currents play an especially important role in the life of the immortal jellyfish. Unlike powerful swimmers such as dolphins or tuna, jellyfish possess only limited control over where they travel. Enormous circulating currents connect coastlines separated by thousands of kilometers, carrying heat, nutrients, microscopic plankton, fish larvae, and countless drifting organisms across the globe. The immortal jellyfish becomes part of this immense moving system almost from the moment it begins its free swimming life. Some of these currents move so slowly that their progress can hardly be noticed from one day to the next. Yet over weeks and months, they transport marine life astonishing distances. A jellyfish drifting quietly near one coastline may eventually find itself carried into entirely different waters, surrounded by unfamiliar species and changing environmental conditions. The jellyfish experiences none of this as a deliberate journey. It simply exists within the gentle motion of the ocean itself. This drifting lifestyle has another important consequence. Individual jellyfish rarely remain isolated for long. Ocean currents continuously gather and separate countless organisms, creating ever-changing underwater communities. Tiny fish may shelter among drifting seaweed, transparent shrimp swim through clouds of plankton, while sea turtles glide effortlessly past schools of shimmering sardines. Above them, seabirds dive from the surface in search of food, and beneath them, the deeper ocean fades gradually into darkness. Every creature occupies its own place within this vast three-dimensional world, connected by water that is constantly moving, yet never entirely the same from one moment to the next. The immortal jellyfish therefore lives in a world without fixed boundaries. A forest has trees marking its edges, and a mountain valley is enclosed by towering slopes, but the open ocean possesses no such visible borders. Distances stretch endlessly in every direction. The only landmarks are changing currents, shifting temperatures, and the gradual transition between sunlit surface waters and the darker depths below. Even the light itself changes constantly. Gentle waves overhead bend and scatter the sunlight into moving patterns that ripple across every drifting animal beneath the surface. For scientists attempting to study such a tiny creature, this presents an enormous challenge. Researchers often rely upon carefully collected specimens, laboratory observations, and genetic studies to understand its remarkable biology. Modern microscopes reveal details invisible to the naked eye, while advanced imaging techniques allow scientists to observe cells reorganizing themselves during different stages of the life cycle. Every new discovery answers one question while raising several more, reminding researchers just how much remains unknown about even the smallest inhabitants of the sea. Perhaps that is one of the most inspiring aspects of the immortal jellyfish. Hidden within its delicate body are biological processes that challenge long-held assumptions about development, aging, and the remarkable flexibility of living cells. It serves as a quiet reminder that the greatest scientific discoveries are not always waiting in distant galaxies or atop remote mountain peaks. As researchers continued investigating the immortal jellyfish, they soon realized that its remarkable ability did not exist entirely in isolation. Nature contains several other organisms capable of astonishing feats of regeneration, although each accomplishes the task in a very different way. By comparing these animals, scientists hope to understand not only what makes the immortal jellyfish unique, but also the broader biological principles that allow living tissue to repair, rebuild, and occasionally begin again. The comparison reveals a fascinating truth. Evolution has solved the challenge of survival in countless different ways, often arriving at solutions far more imaginative than anyone might expect. One familiar example is the starfish. If a starfish loses one of its arms to a predator or an accident, many species possess the remarkable ability to grow it back over time. The process requires patience rather than speed. New tissues gradually appear where the arm was lost, slowly rebuilding muscles, nerves, skin, and countless other specialized structures until the missing limb has been replaced. Depending upon the species and environmental conditions, this regeneration may take many months or even years, yet the animal continues its life while the repair quietly unfolds. Salamanders provide another extraordinary example. Certain species can regenerate entire limbs, complete with bones, muscles, blood vessels, nerves, and skin. Even portions of the heart, spinal cord, and eyes may regrow following injury. Scientists have studied salamanders for generations because their abilities far exceed those found in mammals. When a salamander loses a leg, specialized cells near the wound temporarily return to a more flexible state, before gradually forming every tissue required to build a new limb. It is a carefully coordinated process, directed by thousands of chemical signals working together with astonishing precision. Another remarkable group includes tiny freshwater flatworms known as planarians. Measuring only a few centimeters in length, these simple animals possess regenerative abilities that seem almost unbelievable. A planarian divided into several pieces can often regenerate each missing part, eventually producing complete new individuals. Hidden throughout its body are large numbers of stem cells capable of developing into nearly every cell type the animal requires. These cells remain ready throughout its life, quietly waiting until injury activates the remarkable rebuilding process. Although these animals possess impressive regenerative abilities, none follows exactly the same path as the immortal jellyfish. A starfish replaces a missing arm. A salamander rebuilds a damaged limb. A planarian restores lost portions of its body. The immortal jellyfish, however, performs something fundamentally different. Rather than repairing a damaged structure while remaining an adult, it reorganizes much of its entire body and returns to an earlier stage of its own life cycle. It is less like repairing a damaged building and more like carefully dismantling the structure before rebuilding it according to an earlier design. That distinction is one reason the species continues attracting such intense scientific interest. These comparisons remind us that regeneration exists along a fascinating spectrum throughout nature. Some animals can heal wounds only by forming scar tissue. Others replace feathers, fur, or skin with remarkable efficiency. Still others rebuild complete organs or limbs. The immortal jellyfish occupies one of the most unusual positions within this spectrum because its transformation extends beyond simple repair. It demonstrates an extraordinary flexibility in cellular identity that remains exceptionally rare among known animals. The study of regeneration has also encouraged scientists to ask deeper questions about aging itself. Why do living organisms grow old in the first place? Why do cells gradually lose some of their ability to repair damage over time? These questions remain among the most challenging in modern biology because aging does not result from a single cause. Instead, it reflects the combined effects of countless tiny changes occurring inside cells throughout an organism's lifetime. DNA gradually accumulates damage, proteins become less efficient, communication between cells changes, and tissues slowly lose some of their remarkable ability to maintain themselves. Aging is therefore not one simple process, but many small processes unfolding together over time. The immortal jellyfish does not eliminate these biological challenges in the way legends often imagine immortality. Instead, it appears to avoid one particular pathway toward aging by restarting its developmental program under the right circumstances. Scientists remain cautious when describing this ability because there is still much to learn. The jellyfish is not endlessly indestructible, nor does it possess magical qualities beyond the reach of biology. Every stage of its transformation follows natural cellular processes shaped by evolution over millions of years. Its remarkable reputation comes not from breaking the laws of nature, but from revealing possibilities that few researchers expected to find within such a small marine animal. For medical researchers, these discoveries offer inspiration rather than immediate solutions. No one expects humans to reverse their entire life cycle like a jellyfish. Our bodies are vastly more complex, containing trillions of highly specialized cells, organized into intricate organs and systems. Yet understanding how one organism naturally alters cellular identity may eventually provide clues useful for repairing damaged tissues or encouraging certain forms of regeneration. Throughout the history of medicine, many important discoveries have begun by studying seemingly ordinary organisms whose biology revealed unexpected insights. The immortal jellyfish may become another valuable teacher in that long tradition. Meanwhile, far from research laboratories and scientific journals, countless immortal jellyfish continue drifting quietly through the world's oceans, completely unaware of the curiosity they inspire. Ocean currents carry them through warm coastal waters, around rocky shorelines, and across the open sea just as they have for generations beyond counting. They neither seek attention nor display their remarkable abilities for observers. The more scientists learn about the immortal jellyfish, the more they are reminded of a humbling truth. The oceans still hold countless secrets waiting to be discovered. Vast stretches of the seafloor have never been directly observed, and new marine species continue to be identified every year. Part of the reason the oceans remain so mysterious is their sheer size. Covering more than 70% of the Earth's surface, they contain an extraordinary variety of habitats. Sunlit coral reefs teem with colorful fish and delicate invertebrates. Broad coastal shelves support forests of giant kelp, swaying gently with every passing wave. Farther offshore, the open ocean stretches beyond the horizon in every direction, while beneath it, the water descends into deep basins where sunlight never reaches at all. Every one of these environments presents different challenges, encouraging life to adapt in remarkably different ways. The immortal jellyfish spends much of its life within the upper layers of the ocean, where sunlight still penetrates the water and microscopic plankton drift in enormous numbers. This sunlit zone supports the overwhelming majority of marine life, because it is here that tiny floating plants capture energy from the sun through photosynthesis. These microscopic organisms, known as phytoplankton, are among the most important living things on Earth. Though individually invisible to the naked eye, together they produce an astonishing amount of the oxygen that fills our atmosphere while forming the foundation of nearly every ocean food web. Drifting alongside these microscopic plants are countless tiny animals known as zooplankton. Some spend their entire lives suspended within the currents, while others are only temporary visitors. The larvae of crabs, lobsters, sea stars, fish, and countless other marine animals begin life as minute plankton, drifting wherever the currents carry them, before eventually settling into adult habitats. To the immortal jellyfish, this invisible community represents an endless buffet of tiny prey. Watching this underwater world through a microscope reveals an astonishing level of activity. Tiny crustaceans paddle through the water, using delicate limbs almost too fine to see. Transparent larvae twist and spin as they search for food. Single-celled organisms drift silently between larger plankton, while microscopic algae capture sunlight filtering down from above. The rhythm of life within these waters follows patterns established by sunlight, seasons, and ocean currents. During spring in many parts of the world, increasing daylight encourages enormous blooms of phytoplankton. Their populations expand rapidly, coloring the water with faint green or blue shades, visible even from satellites orbiting high above the Earth. Zooplankton soon increase in number as food becomes abundant, followed by fish, seabirds, and marine mammals that depend upon this seasonal explosion of life. Ocean currents ensure that these nutrients never remain isolated for long. Warm water flowing away from tropical regions gradually mixes with cooler currents arriving from higher latitudes. These currents transport heat, oxygen, nutrients, and living organisms across astonishing distances, connecting ecosystems separated by thousands of kilometers. The sea is therefore not a collection of isolated habitats, but a vast interconnected system where events occurring in one region can influence life far away. As darkness settles over the ocean, countless marine organisms begin producing their own light through a process known as bioluminescence. Tiny plankton flash brilliant blue when disturbed by passing waves. Delicate jellyfish glow softly beneath the surface, while deeper dwelling creatures illuminate the darkness with gentle greens, blues, and occasional reds. Scientists estimate that the majority of animals living in the deep ocean are capable of producing light in some form. Beneath the waves, the night sky seems almost mirrored by another galaxy of living lights drifting through the darkness. Although the immortal jellyfish itself is not famous for spectacular displays of bioluminescence, it lives among countless neighbors that transform the ocean after sunset into one of the most beautiful environments on Earth. Above you, thousands of stars stretch across the heavens. Below, every gentle movement through the water awakens tiny flashes of blue light produced by microscopic plankton responding to the disturbance. Transparent jellyfish drift silently beneath the glowing surface, while small fish weave between scattered points of living light. It is within this peaceful and ever-changing world that the immortal jellyfish continues its remarkable existence. It asks for little more than clean water, drifting currents, and the endless supply of microscopic life carried past its delicate tentacles each day. Hidden among billions of other marine organisms, it quietly performs one of nature's most astonishing biological transformations without attracting attention from the countless creatures sharing its ocean home. While the immortal jellyfish has captured headlines around the world, it represents only one member of a remarkably diverse family. Scientists have identified thousands of jellyfish species inhabiting nearly every ocean on Earth, each adapted to its own unique environment. Some spend their lives drifting through warm tropical seas, where coral reefs glow with brilliant colors beneath the sunlight. Others inhabit cold northern waters, where icebergs drift silently across the horizon. Still others survive in the deep ocean, where complete darkness begins only a few hundred meters below the surface. Together, they demonstrate that even a body plan, as simple as a jellyfish, can be shaped into an astonishing variety of forms by millions of years of evolution. Among the best known is the moon jellyfish, a graceful species often seen drifting through sheltered bays and coastal waters. Its nearly transparent bell resembles a delicate glass umbrella, while four pale circular structures near the center reveal its reproductive organs through the clear tissue. Moon jellyfish pulse gently through the water, with an almost hypnotic rhythm, their fine tentacles trailing gracefully behind. They possess stinging cells like other jellyfish, yet their venom is generally too mild to cause serious discomfort for most people. In striking contrast stands the lion's mane jellyfish, the largest known jellyfish on Earth. While the immortal jellyfish is smaller than a fingernail, the lion's mane can grow to truly astonishing proportions. Its bell may exceed 2 meters in diameter, while the longest tentacles can stretch for more than 30 meters, longer than many of the largest whales. Those flowing tentacles form a vast curtain drifting behind the animal, capturing fish, plankton, and other prey that accidentally brush against the countless stinging cells hidden along their length. Despite its enormous size, Even this giant moves with the same slow, graceful pulses shared by its much smaller relatives. Then there is the box jellyfish, a species that has earned respect throughout tropical waters for very different reasons. Unlike most jellyfish, which drift largely at the mercy of ocean currents, box jellyfish are capable of surprisingly purposeful swimming. Their cube-shaped bells allow them greater control over movement, and they possess a more sophisticated nervous system than many other jellyfish species. Some even have complex eyes capable of detecting light, shadows, and nearby obstacles. Perhaps one of the most surprising facts about jellyfish is that they have no brain. Instead of a central organ controlling every movement, they rely upon a simple network of nerves distributed throughout their bodies. This nerve net allows them to coordinate the rhythmic contractions of their bell, respond to touch, detect changes in light, and react to their surroundings without the need for a complex brain like those found in mammals, birds, or fish. Equally surprising is the absence of many organs that people often associate with animal life. Jellyfish possess no heart-pumping blood through vessels because their thin bodies allow oxygen and nutrients to move directly between surrounding water and living tissues. They have no lungs, relying instead upon simple diffusion to exchange gases. There is no rigid skeleton supporting the body, no liver, and no kidneys. Their extraordinary simplicity demonstrates that life does not always require increasing complexity. Sometimes an elegant solution lies in removing unnecessary structures rather than adding new ones. Their bodies themselves are remarkable examples of natural engineering. More than 95% of a jellyfish consists of water held within a soft, jelly-like substance known as mesoglea. This transparent material provides gentle support while remaining incredibly lightweight. Every slow contraction of the bell propels them forward before they once again surrender to the surrounding current, conserving precious energy for survival and reproduction. The transparency of many jellyfish serves another important purpose. In the open ocean, hiding behind rocks or vegetation is often impossible because there is little solid structure available. Instead, becoming nearly invisible offers valuable protection. Sunlight, passing through the clear tissues, makes the jellyfish difficult for predators to detect, especially when viewed against the bright surface waters above. The immortal jellyfish benefits from this same strategy. Despite their delicate appearance, jellyfish have survived every major environmental challenge the oceans have presented over immense spans of geological time. They drifted through seas populated by giant marine reptiles during the age of the dinosaurs. They survived asteroid impacts, dramatic climate shifts, changing ocean chemistry, and repeated mass extinctions that eliminated countless other groups of animals. Throughout all these transformations, their graceful pulses continued beneath the waves almost unchanged. The immortal jellyfish represents one remarkable chapter within that much larger story, a tiny descendant of an ancient lineage whose quiet resilience has allowed it to persist through nearly every age of Earth's history, still drifting peacefully through the oceans today, just as its distant ancestors did hundreds of millions of years ago. For all of their remarkable history and surprising biology, jellyfish are often misunderstood. Popular images usually focus on painful stings, crowded beaches, or drifting swarms that occasionally appear near coastlines. While these events certainly occur, they represent only a small part of a much larger story. For most of their existence, jellyfish are neither dangerous invaders nor aimless drifters without purpose. Every day, without attracting attention, they feed upon tiny plankton, provide nourishment for larger animals, and help maintain the delicate balance of life beneath the waves. Many ocean creatures depend upon jellyfish as a regular source of food. Sea turtles are among their best-known predators. Despite weighing several hundred kilograms, it survives largely by eating animals composed mostly of water. To consume enough food, leatherbacks travel enormous distances, following seasonal blooms of jellyfish from one part of the ocean to another. Their journeys can span entire ocean basins, connecting coastlines thousands of kilometers apart through ancient migration routes that have existed for countless generations. Certain fish also specialize in feeding upon jellyfish. Sunfish, sometimes called ocean sunfish or mola, possess powerful jaws capable of consuming soft-bodied prey that many other fish ignore. Some seabirds seize smaller jellyfish floating near the surface, while larger species of fish occasionally tear pieces from drifting bells or trailing tentacles. Even crabs and other bottom-dwelling animals feed upon jellyfish remains after they slowly sink toward the seafloor. Very little within the ocean is wasted. Eventually, almost every living thing becomes nourishment for something else, continuing the endless recycling of energy that supports marine life. At the same time, jellyfish are effective predators in their own right. Each day, they quietly remove enormous numbers of microscopic animals from the surrounding water. Tiny crustaceans, fish larvae, and drifting plankton become trapped by delicate tentacles lined with thousands of microscopic stinging cells. Although each individual meal is almost unimaginably small, together they provide enough nourishment to sustain jellyfish populations across every ocean. The immortal jellyfish follows this same quiet routine, capturing prey far too small for most people to notice, while drifting almost invisibly through sunlit coastal waters. Because they occupy both roles, hunter and prey, jellyfish help transfer energy through the marine food web. The microscopic organisms they consume have already gathered energy from phytoplankton lower down the food chain. Jellyfish then become food for turtles, fish, seabirds, and countless scavengers after death. Their bodies may appear delicate and temporary, but their ecological importance is surprisingly significant. Occasionally, environmental conditions allow jellyfish populations to increase dramatically, creating what scientists call blooms. During these events, enormous numbers of jellyfish may gather within the same region of ocean. From above, the water sometimes appears filled with gently pulsing transparent bells extending as far as the eye can see. Such blooms can result from a combination of favorable temperatures, abundant food, suitable ocean currents, and successful reproduction during previous seasons. Although these gatherings may seem unusual to people encountering them for the first time, they are natural events that have likely occurred throughout much of jellyfish evolutionary history. Watching a jellyfish bloom from beneath the surface would be an unforgettable experience. Thousands of graceful bodies drift together through shafts of sunlight, each moving with its own slow rhythm while remaining part of the larger current surrounding it. Small fish weave carefully between the transparent bells, using them as temporary shelter from predators. Rays of light shimmer across the moving animals, creating an ever-changing display of delicate reflections. Scientists continue studying why some blooms have become more common in certain parts of the world. In some regions, warming ocean temperatures, changing currents, overfishing, and coastal development may all influence local jellyfish populations. Removing large numbers of fish can reduce competition for plankton, leaving more food available for jellyfish. Artificial structures such as docks, piers, and harbour walls may also provide additional surfaces where the stationary polyp stage can attach and grow. Because many factors interact at the same time, researchers are careful not to attribute every bloom to a single cause. Like so many aspects of the ocean, the answer is usually more complex than it first appears. The immortal jellyfish itself rarely forms the spectacular blooms associated with larger coastal species. Its tiny size makes it almost invisible, even when many individuals occupy the same area. Most people swimming in the ocean would never realize they had passed through waters containing these remarkable animals. It does not advertise its remarkable abilities through brilliant colors or impressive size. It asks for no attention from the creatures around it. Instead, it simply follows the timeless rhythm of the ocean, pulsing gently through the water while carrying within its tiny body one of the most unusual biological adaptations ever discovered. One of the reasons the immortal jellyfish has attracted such widespread attention is that it invites people to ask some of the biggest questions in biology. Could understanding this tiny animal one day help people live longer? Might its remarkable cells inspire new medical treatments? Could the process of reversing development eventually teach scientists how to repair damaged organs or slow certain aspects of aging? These are fascinating questions, yet researchers are careful to separate genuine scientific possibility from popular imagination. The immortal jellyfish has opened new avenues of research, but it has not revealed a simple secret to eternal youth. Modern medicine already draws inspiration from countless organisms found throughout nature. The venom of certain snakes has led to medications that help control blood pressure. Compounds produced by fungi gave rise to antibiotics that transformed healthcare around the world. Tiny marine organisms have provided chemicals now used to study cancer, nerve cells, and immune diseases. Again and again, nature has demonstrated that even the smallest living creatures may possess biological solutions far beyond anything people could have designed on their own. The immortal jellyfish has joined that remarkable list, not because it offers immediate answers, but because it encourages scientists to explore entirely new questions. One of the greatest areas of interest involves stem cells. These remarkable cells possess the ability to develop into many different specialized tissues, making them essential during early growth and important for repairing certain parts of the body throughout life. Human stem cells and jellyfish cells are not the same, yet the immortal jellyfish demonstrates an extraordinary level of cellular flexibility that continues fascinating researchers. By understanding how its cells reorganize themselves so successfully, scientists hope to gain deeper insight into the fundamental rules governing cellular identity across many different forms of life. Research laboratories studying the immortal jellyfish often appear surprisingly quiet compared with the dramatic headlines surrounding the animal itself. Rows of carefully maintained aquariums hold delicate jellyfish drifting gently through filtered seawater. Water temperature, salt content, and lighting are monitored with great care because even small changes can influence the animal's behavior. Researchers spend hours observing tiny specimens through microscopes, recording subtle changes that would easily escape casual notice. Scientific discovery is rarely a sudden flash of inspiration. More often, it advances through thousands of careful observations patiently collected over many years. Each experiment adds another small piece to an enormous puzzle. One study may focus upon the genes becoming active during transdifferentiation. Another examines proteins responsible for directing cellular communication. Others compare different jellyfish species to determine why the immortal jellyfish possesses abilities absent from many close relatives. Every result contributes to a gradually expanding understanding, even when it raises more questions than answers. Technology has played an important role in accelerating these discoveries. Only a few decades ago, many of the molecular changes occurring inside a single jellyfish cell would have remained completely invisible. Today, advanced microscopes reveal astonishing detail within living tissues, while modern genetic sequencing allows researchers to examine the complete genetic instructions carried inside each cell. Powerful computers compare enormous amounts of biological information, identifying subtle patterns that would once have required lifetimes of manual analysis. Even so, the immortal jellyfish continues reminding scientists that nature often remains more intricate than the technology used to study it. The study of genetics has revealed another fascinating truth. Humans share a surprising number of genes with organisms that appear completely different from ourselves. Many of the basic instructions controlling cell growth, repair, and development have been conserved throughout hundreds of millions of years of evolution. Although jellyfish and humans followed very different evolutionary paths, both remain descendants of ancient ancestors that lived in Earth's oceans long ago. Because of this shared biological heritage, studying even simple marine animals can sometimes reveal principles that apply much more broadly across the living world. At the same time, researchers are careful not to overstate the significance of these discoveries. Headlines occasionally suggest that the immortal jellyfish has solved aging itself or unlocked the secret of immortality. Such claims make exciting news stories, but they do not accurately reflect the current state of scientific understanding. Humans are vastly more complex, and there is no evidence that people could ever reverse their entire development in the same way. Responsible science advances through careful evidence rather than dramatic conclusions. Evolution has spent hundreds of millions of years quietly exploring countless biological possibilities. Some produced enormous whales capable of crossing entire oceans. Others created birds that navigate across continents using the stars. Still others gave rise to tiny, transparent jellyfish capable of restarting their own life cycle under the right circumstances. Every one of these solutions reflects the remarkable creativity of the natural world, shaped not by conscious design, but by countless generations of gradual adaptation. The ocean continues carrying the immortal jellyfish through its ancient currents, completely unaware that laboratories around the world study its remarkable biology with growing fascination. Beneath the gentle movement of the waves, it pulses quietly through the water, just as its ancestors have done for millions of years. Hidden inside its transparent body are lessons that scientists are only beginning to understand, reminding us that some of the greatest discoveries are not found by searching for the largest or most spectacular creatures, but by paying careful attention to the smallest lives drifting almost unnoticed beneath the endless blue sea. Long before scientists gave the immortal jellyfish its remarkable nickname, it drifted unnoticed through the Mediterranean Sea, following the same quiet currents that had carried its ancestors for countless generations. The Mediterranean is one of the world's oldest and most studied seas, bordered by Europe, Africa, and Asia. Yet even here, nature continued hiding extraordinary discoveries in plain sight. Fishing boats crossed its waters every day, divers explored its rocky coastlines, and marine biologists catalogued thousands of species living beneath its surface. Its scientific story began with careful observation rather than dramatic discovery. Researchers examining small jellyfish collected from coastal waters noticed that one species behaved differently from the others. Instead of completing its life cycle in the familiar way before eventually dying, some individuals seemed capable of returning to an earlier developmental stage after experiencing stress. At first, the observations appeared almost unbelievable. Biology had long taught that complex animals developed in one direction, progressing steadily from youth to adulthood. The possibility that an adult animal might reverse that process challenged ideas that had remained largely unquestioned for generations. As additional observations accumulated, the evidence became increasingly convincing. Independent researchers studying the same species documented similar transformations under carefully controlled laboratory conditions. Again and again, adult jellyfish exposed to stressful circumstances gradually abandoned their familiar medusa form and reorganized themselves into polyps. What initially seemed impossible slowly became accepted as a genuine biological phenomenon. Originally, this unusual species was found primarily within the Mediterranean Sea, where warm coastal waters provide favorable conditions for many kinds of marine life. Here, polyps attach themselves to underwater surfaces, while free-swimming medusae drift through the surrounding waters, feeding upon microscopic plankton carried past by the currents. For millions of years, this quiet cycle continued unnoticed beneath the waves. Today, however, the immortal jellyfish is no longer limited to its original home. Scientists have discovered populations in oceans far beyond the Mediterranean, including coastal waters in many different parts of the world. Surprisingly, the jellyfish did not spread through purposeful migration or extraordinary swimming ability. Instead, much of its global journey appears to have occurred with unexpected assistance from human activity, particularly through international shipping. Modern cargo ships transport enormous quantities of goods between continents every day. To remain stable while traveling across open oceans, many ships take in large amounts of seawater into special ballast tanks. This water helps balance the vessel during its voyage, especially when it is carrying little cargo. Upon reaching another port, the ballast water may be released before fresh cargo is loaded. Although this process seems straightforward, the water often contains countless microscopic marine organisms collected from the ship's previous location. Tiny larvae, plankton, algae, and even small jellyfish may survive the journey hidden inside these tanks before being released into entirely new environments thousands of kilometers away. The immortal jellyfish is particularly well suited to this accidental form of travel because of its incredibly small size and complex life cycle. Microscopic larvae and tiny polyps can be transported far more easily than larger marine animals. Once introduced into suitable coastal waters, they may establish entirely new populations if environmental conditions prove favorable. Over many decades of global shipping, this quiet process has gradually connected marine ecosystems that were once separated by vast distances. This unintended movement of marine species has become an important area of scientific research. The immortal jellyfish is only one of many organisms carried around the world through ballast water, alongside mussels, crabs, algae, and countless microscopic species. Some introduced organisms struggle to survive in unfamiliar environments, while others establish thriving populations that become permanent parts of local ecosystems. Understanding these movements helps marine biologists protect native species while developing better methods for reducing the accidental transport of organisms between distant oceans. The story of the immortal jellyfish therefore extends beyond its remarkable biology. It also reflects the increasing connection between the world's oceans. Although continents separate different seas upon maps, modern shipping routes have created new pathways through which marine life can travel, sometimes in completely unexpected ways. A tiny jellyfish that once drifted quietly within the Mediterranean may now be found in coastal waters on the opposite side of the planet, carried there not by its own strength, but by the remarkable scale of human exploration and commerce. Yet despite this expanding range, the immortal jellyfish remains almost invisible within the immense oceans it now inhabits. It continues pulsing gently through clear coastal waters, feeding upon microscopic plankton exactly as it always has. Most people will never notice one during their lifetime, even while swimming in waters where it quietly drifts nearby. Although the immortal jellyfish has become one of the most discussed marine animals in recent years, it also serves as a reminder that every extraordinary discovery begins with careful observation. Nature rarely announces its greatest secrets with dramatic displays. Instead, they often reveal themselves quietly, one small detail at a time, to people willing to look a little more closely. A tiny transparent jellyfish, drifting through coastal waters, hardly seems like the sort of creature capable of changing scientific conversations about aging and regeneration. Yet that is exactly what happened. The lesson reaches far beyond marine biology. Even today, scientists estimate that thousands and possibly millions of marine species have yet to be formally described. Every year, research expeditions discover new fish, corals, crustaceans, jellyfish, and microscopic organisms living in habitats that have rarely been explored. Still others drift through the open sea so far from land that they may never encounter a coastline during their entire lives. The oceans remain one of the last great frontiers on our own planet. Exploring those waters has become increasingly sophisticated over the past century. Early marine biologists relied primarily on nets, glass jars, and careful observations made from the decks of research vessels. Today, remotely operated vehicles descend thousands of meters into the deep ocean, carrying powerful cameras and delicate robotic arms capable of collecting specimens without damaging them. Autonomous underwater vehicles map the seafloor with extraordinary precision, while satellites orbiting high above the Earth monitor ocean temperatures, currents, and enormous blooms of plankton invisible from ships below. Every new technology reveals another layer of complexity hidden beneath the waves. Yet despite these remarkable advances, much of marine biology still depends upon simple patience. Researchers may spend hours watching a single jellyfish through the lens of a microscope, carefully recording every stage of its development. They observe how it feeds, how its cells divide, how it responds to changes in temperature, and how it behaves when environmental conditions become more challenging. The smallest observations often prove the most valuable. A slight change in movement, an unexpected shift in cellular activity, or the appearance of new tissue may eventually become the clue that explains an entire biological process. There is no dramatic transformation visible from a distance. No sudden flash of light announces the beginning of its reversal. Instead, the process unfolds gradually beneath the microscope as thousands of individual cells begin responding to signals carried throughout the tiny body. Day after day, The adult jellyfish slowly loses its familiar shape, while new tissues begin forming. To an observer watching only occasionally, very little seems to happen. Only through patient study does the astonishing nature of the transformation become fully apparent. The ocean itself encourages this kind of patience. Unlike many environments on land, where movement often appears fast and energetic, life beneath the waves frequently follows a gentler rhythm. Seagrasses sway back and forth with the tides. Forests of giant kelp rise and fall with the passing swell. Sea stars move so slowly that their journeys become noticeable only after many hours. Coral colonies add tiny layers of limestone year after year until entire reefs eventually emerge. Even whales, despite their enormous size, often travel with calm, deliberate movements through the open sea. Morning sunlight filters through the surface, illuminating clouds of drifting plankton. Small fish move gracefully through forests of swaying seaweed, while crabs search quietly among scattered rocks. A sea turtle glides effortlessly through the clear water before disappearing into the blue distance. None of these creatures rushes. Each follows the quiet rhythm established by tides, currents, daylight, and the changing seasons. The immortal jellyfish asks us to slow down in much the same way. Its remarkable biology cannot be appreciated through a quick glance or a dramatic headline alone. Understanding its story requires patience, curiosity, and a willingness to explore the smaller details that often go unnoticed. It reminds us that scientific discovery is rarely about finding easy answers. More often, it is about learning to ask better questions. Every new discovery leads naturally to another mystery, encouraging researchers to continue exploring the countless wonders still hidden beneath the surface of the sea. As ocean research continues in the years ahead, it seems almost certain that more extraordinary discoveries await. Somewhere beneath the waves, another tiny organism may already possess biological abilities unlike anything currently known to science. Hidden within coral reefs, drifting through open currents, or resting quietly upon the deep ocean floor, countless species continue living their ancient lives, completely unaware that humans have only just begun to understand them. The immortal jellyfish has shown us that even the smallest marine creatures can challenge long-held scientific assumptions. That thought alone makes every unexplored corner of the ocean feel just a little more mysterious and a little more wonderful than it did before. Scientists sometimes describe the immortal jellyfish as a biological paradox because it forces us to reconsider one of life's most familiar patterns. From the moment we are born, we naturally think of time as moving in only one direction. A seed becomes a tree. A caterpillar becomes a butterfly. A child becomes an adult. Throughout the living world, development almost always follows this steady path forward. The immortal jellyfish appears to step outside that familiar pattern, not by breaking the laws of biology, but by using them in an unexpectedly flexible way. This unusual ability has also encouraged scientists to think more carefully about what aging truly means. Aging is often described simply as growing older, yet biologically, it is a far more complicated process. Every second, trillions of tiny events take place inside living cells. Proteins are produced, damaged molecules are repaired, DNA is copied, and worn-out components are replaced. Young organisms perform these tasks with remarkable efficiency, but over time the balance gradually changes. Repairs become slightly less perfect, damaged material slowly accumulates, and tissues lose some of their ability to function exactly as they once did. Aging is therefore not a single event, but the gradual result of countless tiny changes occurring throughout the body over many years. The immortal jellyfish offers researchers a rare opportunity to observe an animal interrupting part of that familiar progression. Rather than allowing specialized tissues to continue aging indefinitely, it can reorganize much of its body and begin again from a much earlier developmental stage. Scientists are still working to understand every molecular signal responsible for initiating this transformation. Yet the process demonstrates that living cells sometimes possess far greater flexibility than previously imagined. Instead of remaining permanently committed to one identity, certain cells can respond to changing conditions in surprisingly creative ways. These discoveries have influenced many different branches of biology beyond marine science alone. Developmental biologists study how organisms grow from a single fertilized cell into complex bodies containing many specialized tissues. Geneticists investigate the genes controlling cellular identity and communication. Researchers studying regenerative medicine examine how damaged tissues repair themselves after injury, while evolutionary biologists ask how such an unusual life cycle could have developed over millions of years. Evolution itself helps explain why such remarkable abilities occasionally appear. Over immense spans of time, countless small genetic changes arise naturally within populations. Most provide little advantage, while others disappear entirely after only a few generations. Occasionally, however, a change improves survival under particular environmental conditions. Individuals carrying that advantage become slightly more likely to survive and reproduce, gradually passing the useful trait to future generations. Every feather, every flower, every whale, every towering tree, and every immortal jellyfish represents another unique solution shaped by this patient process. The oceans have provided evolution with an especially vast laboratory. Covering most of the planet and containing habitats ranging from warm tropical lagoons to freezing polar seas, they have encouraged an astonishing variety of adaptations. Some fish developed bodies capable of generating electricity. Certain octopuses mastered camouflage so completely that they seem to vanish against the sea floor within moments. Deep-sea anglerfish evolved glowing lures that attract prey through complete darkness. Corals learned to build entire reefs from tiny limestone skeletons produced by colonies of minute animals. The immortal jellyfish belongs within this remarkable collection of evolutionary experiments, demonstrating that nature's creativity often exceeds even our most imaginative expectations. What makes its story especially compelling is the contrast between its extraordinary biology and its ordinary appearance. If placed beside dozens of other tiny jellyfish, there would be little to distinguish it at first glance. Its transparent bell pulses gently through the water with the same graceful rhythm shared by countless relatives. Small tentacles trail behind it as ocean currents determine much of its journey. There are no brilliant warning colors announcing its uniqueness, no unusual body shape, and no obvious sign that this delicate creature carries one of the most remarkable life cycles known to science. Its greatest secret remains hidden entirely within the quiet activity of its living cells. Perhaps that hidden quality reflects a broader pattern throughout nature. Many of the world's greatest wonders exist beyond ordinary human senses. The roots of forests communicate through networks of fungi hidden beneath the soil. Tiny plankton drifting through the sea produce much of the oxygen filling our atmosphere. Invisible magnetic fields help migrating birds navigate across continents. Deep beneath Antarctic ice, ancient air remains trapped inside frozen bubbles, preserving the atmosphere of distant ages. Likewise, the immortal jellyfish quietly transforms itself without attracting attention from the countless other creatures sharing its ocean home. Some of nature's most extraordinary stories unfold almost completely out of sight. The longer scientists study this remarkable animal, the more they appreciate that it is not simply teaching us about one unusual jellyfish. It is revealing something much larger about life itself. Biology is not a collection of rigid rules with only one possible solution. Instead, it is a history of endless experimentation carried out over hundreds of millions of years. Again and again, evolution has discovered unexpected ways to solve familiar challenges, whether by allowing birds to fly, whales to navigate across entire oceans, or tiny transparent jellyfish to begin life once more. And while researchers continue exploring these remarkable questions in laboratories around the world, the immortal jellyfish itself remains completely unchanged by the attention. It continues drifting through gentle ocean currents exactly as it always has, feeding upon microscopic plankton, responding to changing conditions, and quietly repeating a life cycle unlike almost any other animal on Earth. Hidden beneath the shimmering surface of the sea, it carries on its ancient journey, offering a quiet reminder that even after centuries of scientific discovery, the natural world still possesses countless mysteries waiting patiently to be understood. Although the immortal jellyfish has become the focus of countless scientific papers, its daily life remains surprisingly ordinary. It does not spend its existence constantly reversing its life cycle or performing extraordinary biological feats. Most days are quiet, shaped by the gentle movement of the sea and the steady rhythm that governs nearly every marine organism. Ocean currents carry it through changing waters. Microscopic prey drifts within reach of its tentacles, and sunlight filters softly down from the surface above. Like every other creature in the ocean, it is simply trying to survive in an environment that is constantly changing around it. The coastal waters where immortal jellyfish are most often found are among the busiest ecosystems on Earth. Beneath the calm surface lies a constantly shifting world filled with movement. Schools of anchovies and sardines flash through the water like living ribbons of silver. Sea bream patrol rocky reefs, searching for small crustaceans hidden among patches of seaweed. Every species occupies its own role within this underwater community, creating a balanced ecosystem where countless interactions unfold every hour of every day. Among these rocky coastlines, sunlight reaches all the way to the seafloor in many places, encouraging forests of seaweed to flourish. Long green blades sway gently with every passing wave, creating underwater meadows that provide shelter for juvenile fish, crabs, shrimp, and countless tiny invertebrates. Small snails creep across the broad leaves, while colorful nudibranchs search for their next meal. As the seasons change, these coastal environments change with them. During spring, increasing sunlight encourages microscopic algae to multiply rapidly, filling the water with fresh food for plankton. Small crustaceans soon become more abundant, followed by fish larvae that hatch in enormous numbers during the warmer months. For the immortal jellyfish, these seasonal cycles influence the availability of food far more than the passing of individual days. When plankton becomes plentiful, the jellyfish can feed more successfully and continue growing. During less productive periods, survival becomes more challenging, reminding every organism that even the richest ecosystems experience natural cycles of abundance and scarcity. Ocean temperatures also play an important role throughout the year. Warm surface waters gradually cool as autumn approaches, while winter storms mix deeper water with the upper layers of the sea. These seasonal changes influence everything from plankton growth to fish migrations, quietly reshaping the entire marine community without ever disrupting its overall balance. The immortal jellyfish experiences these shifts directly. It possesses no warm blood to regulate its body temperature. Instead, its body simply matches the surrounding water, making it intimately connected to every change taking place within its environment. Storms provide another reminder that life beneath the sea is never completely predictable. From the shoreline, powerful waves crashing against the rocks reveal only part of the story. Beneath the surface, currents strengthen, suspended sand reduces visibility, and floating debris is carried in new directions. Delicate organisms must either withstand these changing conditions or find shelter where the water remains calmer. For a creature as small as the immortal jellyfish, even a moderate storm represents an enormous force, capable of transporting it far from the waters where it had been drifting only hours before. Yet these disturbances are nothing new. Jellyfish have survived changing seas for hundreds of millions of years, quietly adapting to conditions that constantly fluctuate. Not every day is spent drifting through open water. The stationary polyp stage experiences the ocean from an entirely different perspective. Firmly attached to rocks, shells, harbor walls, or pieces of submerged wood, the polyp watches the currents pass rather than traveling with them. Tiny particles drift continuously overhead, while small fish occasionally investigate the surrounding surfaces in search of food. Crabs climb slowly across the rocks, and sea stars glide almost imperceptibly over the seabed nearby. Although the polyp never follows the currents directly, the ocean still comes to it, bringing a steady supply of microscopic food carried by the endless movement of the water. This contrast between the drifting medusa and the anchored polyp illustrates one of the most elegant features of the jellyfish life cycle. One stage explores the surrounding environment, carried wherever the sea chooses to take it. The other remains quietly attached in a single location, patiently gathering food while producing future generations. Together, these two lifestyles allow jellyfish to take advantage of both movement and stability without requiring a complicated body or advanced behavior. It is another example of how evolution often produces remarkably efficient solutions through surprisingly simple designs. As evening approaches above the sea, the underwater world changes once again. The bright sunlight softens into deeper shades of blue before fading almost completely. Many daytime fish retreat into sheltered crevices among the rocks, while nocturnal species gradually emerge to begin their own quiet routines. Tiny crustaceans rise higher into the water column beneath the cover of darkness, followed by countless drifting predators that depend upon them for food. There is nothing dramatic about its appearance, no sudden bursts of speed, and no spectacular display announcing its presence. Instead, its life unfolds with remarkable patience, perfectly suited to the calm movements of the sea. Yet hidden within that quiet existence is one of biology's most extraordinary abilities, reminding us once again that some of nature's greatest mysteries are not found among its largest or loudest inhabitants, but among the smallest creatures living gentle lives beneath the endless movement of the ocean. One of the most fascinating aspects of the immortal jellyfish is that its extraordinary life cycle depends upon a body that appears almost unbelievably simple. Unlike mammals with bones, muscles, and complex organs working together inside a carefully protected skeleton, a jellyfish relies upon elegant simplicity. Almost every part of its transparent body performs multiple functions at once, allowing the animal to survive with remarkable efficiency while expending very little energy. Each slow contraction gently pushes water beneath the bell, creating enough force to move the animal forward before it relaxes once again. This pulsing motion requires surprisingly little effort. Between contractions, the jellyfish simply glides, allowing the surrounding water to carry it naturally. Engineers have even studied this remarkably efficient style of movement while developing underwater vehicles, recognizing that nature often discovers solutions far more elegant than those designed by humans. Along the edge of the bell hangs a delicate ring of tentacles that trail almost weightlessly through the water. To a passing fish or drifting plankton, these fine threads may appear harmless, yet they contain thousands of microscopic stinging cells prepared to react in an instant. Each nematocyst functions like an incredibly tiny spring-loaded harpoon. The pressure stored inside these specialized structures is so great that when triggered, the thread is discharged in a fraction of a second. Scientists continue studying these remarkable cells because they represent one of the fastest mechanical actions found anywhere in the natural world. What makes this system even more impressive is that it operates without conscious thought. The jellyfish possesses no brain making decisions about when each stinging cell should fire. Instead, the entire process depends upon direct physical contact, combined with simple chemical signals. When suitable prey brushes against the tentacles, the appropriate cells respond automatically. Inside the bell lies a surprisingly simple digestive cavity. Unlike animals with long digestive tracts containing many specialized organs, the jellyfish relies upon one central chamber where food is broken down before nutrients are distributed throughout the body. Because the animal is so thin and contains so much water, those nutrients travel relatively short distances to reach every living cell. Oxygen follows a similarly direct route, passing naturally between the surrounding seawater and the delicate tissues without requiring lungs or an elaborate circulatory system. Every aspect of the jellyfish's anatomy reflects remarkable efficiency. Its nervous system follows the same principle. Rather than concentrating nerve tissue inside a central brain, the jellyfish uses a diffuse network spread throughout its body. This nerve net allows signals to travel in many directions at once, coordinating the rhythmic contractions of the bell while responding to touch, changes in light, and nearby obstacles. Although simple compared with the nervous systems of mammals, it performs exactly the tasks required for the jellyfish's lifestyle. Some jellyfish possess tiny sensory structures around the edge of the bell that help them detect their surroundings. These organs can sense gravity, allowing the animal to determine which direction is upward, while others respond to changes in light intensity. Although their vision bears little resemblance to the detailed eyesight of fish or humans, these simple sensors provide enough information to help maintain orientation within the water. They allow the jellyfish to respond to its environment without requiring the sophisticated brains associated with more active marine animals. The immortal jellyfish shares this beautifully economical design, yet hidden beneath its transparent tissues lies the remarkable ability that has made it famous. Every gentle pulse through the water is supported by cells capable of extraordinary flexibility when circumstances demand it. Most of the time, those cells quietly perform ordinary tasks, contributing to movement, digestion, growth, or reproduction. Only under particular conditions do they begin the astonishing process of reorganizing themselves, revealing a level of biological adaptability that continues surprising researchers around the world. There are no powerful muscles, no beating heart, no lungs drawing breath, and no rigid skeleton supporting its shape. Yet within this delicate, transparent form exists one of the most unusual developmental processes ever documented. Sometimes elegance lies in achieving extraordinary results with the simplest possible structure. Perhaps that is one reason jellyfish continue inspiring both scientists and ordinary observers alike. Watching one drift through clear water creates a sense of calm that is difficult to describe. Every slow pulse appears effortless. Every graceful movement seems perfectly matched to the gentle motion of the surrounding sea. Beneath that peaceful appearance, however, countless microscopic events unfold every second as living cells communicate, repair themselves, capture food, and, in the case of the immortal jellyfish, retain the astonishing ability to begin life's journey all over again. As remarkable as the immortal jellyfish may be, it is only one small thread woven into the much larger story of Earth's oceans. To truly appreciate its place in nature, it helps to step back and consider the immense history of the seas themselves. Long before forests covered the continents or mammals appeared on land, the oceans were already filled with life. For billions of years, they have served as the cradle of evolution, giving rise to every major branch of the animal kingdom. Every fish, bird, reptile, mammal, and amphibian ultimately traces its ancestry back to organisms that once lived beneath the waves. In many ways, when we study the immortal jellyfish, we are also looking back towards some of the earliest chapters in the history of animal life. The oceans have never remained still throughout that immense span of time. Continents slowly drifted across the surface of the earth, opening new seas while closing others. Ancient coastlines disappeared beneath rising water before emerging once again millions of years later. Entire mountain ranges rose where oceans once existed, while new basins gradually filled with seawater as the Earth's crust shifted beneath them. Throughout all of these enormous geological changes, marine life continued adapting with remarkable resilience. Some groups flourished before disappearing forever, while others survived every challenge placed before them. During the age of the dinosaurs, the oceans looked very different from those we know today. Giant marine reptiles patrolled the seas, some with long necks reaching gracefully through the water, while others possessed enormous jaws capable of capturing large prey. Ammonites with beautifully coiled shells drifted through warm tropical waters alongside ancient relatives of modern squid. Coral reefs supported colorful communities of fish and invertebrates, much as they do today. Then came one of the most dramatic events in Earth's history. Around 66 million years ago, an enormous asteroid struck what is now Mexico, triggering global changes that ended the age of the non-avian dinosaurs. Dust and debris filled the atmosphere, reducing sunlight around the world. Food chains on land and in the oceans were disrupted as countless species struggled to survive rapidly changing conditions. Many animals disappeared forever during this mass extinction, yet jellyfish endured once again. Their long evolutionary history includes survival through several of the greatest environmental upheavals our planet has ever experienced. This remarkable resilience is partly connected to their flexibility. Jellyfish reproduce efficiently, mature relatively quickly, and occupy many different marine habitats across the globe. Some thrive near coastlines, while others inhabit the open ocean or the dark waters far below the reach of sunlight. Because different species occupy such a wide range of environments, the group as a whole has proven remarkably adaptable to changing conditions over immense spans of geological time. The immortal jellyfish represents one particularly fascinating branch of this ancient family tree, adding its own extraordinary life cycle to a lineage already filled with successful adaptations. Today, modern oceans continue changing just as they always have. Ocean currents shift with seasonal winds, coastlines are reshaped by waves, coral reefs slowly grow while storms occasionally break them apart, and marine animals migrate in response to food and temperature. The difference is that scientists can now observe these changes with tools unimaginable only a few generations ago. Satellites monitor the color of the oceans from space, revealing enormous blooms of microscopic plankton. Research vessels lower sophisticated instruments thousands of meters beneath the surface to measure temperature, salinity, oxygen, and ocean chemistry. Autonomous underwater vehicles quietly explore regions where few people have ever traveled, collecting information from some of the least explored environments on Earth. Despite all of this remarkable technology, there remains something wonderfully timeless about watching a jellyfish drift through calm water. The scene unfolding before us today would have appeared strangely familiar to countless generations of life stretching back through deep time. Sunlight still filters through the waves in shimmering patterns. Ocean currents continue carrying nutrients across vast distances. Tiny plankton drift almost invisibly through the water while transparent jellyfish pulse gently among them. The names have changed, the continents have shifted, and new species have evolved, yet the quiet rhythm of the sea remains comfortingly familiar. It is easy to understand why so many people feel a sense of peace when watching marine life. Beneath the surface, there is no constant noise of traffic, no hurried footsteps, and no crowded streets. Instead, there is only the slow movement of water, the gentle swaying of seagrasses, the graceful passage of fish, and the almost effortless drifting of creatures like the immortal jellyfish. Time itself seems to move differently beneath the waves. Perhaps that gentle rhythm is one of the greatest lessons offered by the immortal jellyfish. While scientists continue investigating its remarkable biology, the animal itself remains perfectly content, simply following the currents as it always has. It does not struggle against the sea or attempt to control its journey. Instead, it moves with the water, responding quietly to the changing world around it. Another remarkable aspect of the immortal jellyfish is how easily its story captures the imagination while still remaining firmly grounded in science. Throughout history, people have searched for legends describing fountains of youth, magical springs, or mysterious elixirs capable of stopping the passage of time. Nearly every civilization has told stories about escaping old age or extending life beyond its natural limits. Kings sent expeditions in search of mythical waters. Alchemists experimented with unusual substances, and storytellers filled generations with tales of eternal youth. Yet the true wonder hidden beneath the ocean is not a magical creature at all. There are no supernatural forces involved in its life cycle, no mysterious energy, and no hidden magic. Every stage of its transformation follows the ordinary rules governing living cells, genes, and development. What appears extraordinary is simply the result of evolution discovering a biological pathway that humans had never previously observed in such a complete form. Rather than making nature seem less mysterious, understanding the science only deepens our appreciation for how creative evolution can truly be. The oceans contain countless examples of this same quiet creativity. Consider the octopus, capable of changing both color and texture within moments until it almost disappears against the surrounding rocks. Seahorses reverse the familiar roles of reproduction, with males carrying developing young inside specialized brood pouches. Flying fish leap from the water before gliding remarkable distances above the waves, using enlarged fins that act almost like wings. Deep beneath the surface, anglerfish produce their own light to attract prey through complete darkness, while certain shrimp create tiny bursts of sound powerful enough to stun nearby animals. Every one of these remarkable adaptations developed gradually through countless generations, each representing another solution to the challenges of surviving beneath the sea. The immortal jellyfish belongs comfortably among these extraordinary marine specialists, yet its adaptation is perhaps one of the most subtle. There is no dramatic display announcing its unique biology. It simply continues living as any other small jellyfish would, until circumstances become especially difficult. Only then does its remarkable flexibility reveal itself. Hidden inside transparent tissues almost invisible against the surrounding water, living cells quietly reorganize themselves with astonishing precision. To anyone watching from the surface, nothing unusual appears to be happening. Beneath the microscope, however, one of biology's most remarkable transformations is gently unfolding. This quiet elegance has earned the admiration of scientists around the world. Marine biologists often speak with genuine excitement when discussing the immortal jellyfish, not because they expect it to solve every mystery surrounding aging, but because it demonstrates how much remains to be discovered. Every unexpected finding reminds researchers to remain open to possibilities that once seemed impossible. Nature has repeatedly shown that even long-accepted scientific ideas may contain surprising exceptions waiting patiently to be uncovered. There is also something wonderfully humbling about the scale of this discovery. Microscopic plankton produce enormous quantities of the oxygen we breathe. Tiny coral polyps build reefs visible from space. Small insects pollinate flowering plants across entire continents. Likewise, the immortal jellyfish has expanded our understanding of biology despite possessing one of the simplest bodies found among marine animals. Perhaps future generations of scientists will uncover even more remarkable organisms hidden beneath the waves. Somewhere within coral reefs, deep ocean trenches, polar seas, or isolated coastal lagoons, other species may already possess biological abilities unlike anything currently described. Every research expedition adds another piece to our understanding while revealing just how much remains unexplored. The oceans continue encouraging curiosity in much the same way they have inspired explorers, naturalists, and scientists for centuries. Each discovery opens the door to new questions rather than closing the story. The immortal jellyfish therefore represents something larger than itself. It stands as a symbol of scientific curiosity, reminding us that careful observation can reveal extraordinary truths hidden within the ordinary. Its story encourages researchers to continue asking difficult questions, examining familiar organisms with fresh eyes, and exploring environments that still remain only partly understood. In doing so, it reflects one of the greatest strengths of science itself, the willingness to remain curious even after generations of discovery. Far below the shimmering surface, however, none of those scientific conversations disturb the quiet rhythm of the sea. Ocean currents continue their ancient journeys between distant coastlines. Schools of fish move together with effortless precision. Sea grasses sway gently beneath the passing waves, while tiny plankton drift almost invisibly through shafts of sunlight. Among them, the immortal jellyfish pulses softly through the clear blue water, carrying within its delicate, transparent body one of the most remarkable evolutionary stories ever written, quietly reminding us that the greatest wonders of the natural world often reveal themselves only to those willing to look a little closer. One of the most valuable lessons scientists have learned from studying the immortal jellyfish is that nature rarely reveals all of its secrets at once. Every important discovery seems to uncover an entirely new set of questions waiting just beyond it. When researchers first confirmed that Turritopsis dohrnii could reverse its life cycle, they naturally wanted to understand how the transformation occurred. Once they began answering that question, they wanted to know which genes controlled the process. As those discoveries accumulated, new questions emerged about evolution, regeneration, aging, and cellular identity. One of the most active areas of research focuses on gene activity during the transformation itself. Every cell within the jellyfish contains essentially the same genetic instructions, yet different genes become active depending upon the cell's role. A muscle cell does not use exactly the same collection of genes as a digestive cell, even though both contain the same DNA. During transdifferentiation, something remarkable happens. Genes that were once silent become active again, while others gradually reduce their activity as the cell changes into an entirely different type. Modern genetic sequencing has allowed researchers to observe many of these changes in remarkable detail. By carefully comparing the activity of genes before, during, and after the transformation, scientists can identify which molecular pathways appear most important. These studies produce enormous amounts of information, far more than could ever be examined by eye alone. Powerful computers search through millions of pieces of genetic data, looking for patterns that reveal how the jellyfish carefully coordinates one of the most extraordinary developmental processes known in biology. Another important area of investigation concerns proteins, the tiny molecular machines that carry out much of the work inside every living cell. Some proteins help build new tissues, others repair damaged DNA, while still others act as chemical messengers, carrying instructions from one part of the cell to another. During the immortal jellyfish's transformation, thousands of these proteins begin changing their activity with remarkable precision. Some increase dramatically, encouraging cells to adopt new identities, while others become less active as structures belonging to the adult jellyfish gradually disappear. The entire process resembles an enormous construction project in which every worker receives perfectly timed instructions without confusion or delay. Researchers also study the jellyfish's environment with equal care because the transformation does not occur in isolation. Water temperature, available food, salinity, and physical stress all appear capable of influencing when the life cycle reversal begins. By carefully controlling these conditions in laboratory aquariums, scientists can observe how different environmental factors affect the jellyfish's behavior. Sometimes the smallest adjustments produce surprisingly different results, reminding researchers that living organisms are always responding to both their internal biology and the world surrounding them. This close relationship between organism and environment reflects one of biology's most important principles. No living creature exists independently of its surroundings. Every plant responds to sunlight, rainfall, and soil. Every bird adjusts its behavior according to changing seasons. Every whale follows shifting supplies of food through the oceans. The immortal jellyfish is no different. Its remarkable biology evolved within the constantly changing marine environment, where flexibility often provides an important advantage. Understanding the animal therefore requires understanding the ocean itself, because the two have shaped one another over millions of years. One particularly interesting question involves why this remarkable ability appears to be so uncommon. If reversing the life cycle provides such an obvious advantage, why have more animals not evolved similar strategies? The answer almost certainly lies in evolution's careful balance between costs and benefits. Every adaptation requires energy and genetic complexity. What proves beneficial for one species may be unnecessary or even harmful for another. The immortal jellyfish occupies a very specific ecological niche with a relatively simple body plan. Conditions that favor its extraordinary flexibility may simply not exist for larger, more complex animals whose bodies are organized in fundamentally different ways. Nature repeatedly demonstrates this principle through countless examples. Birds developed feathers that later became essential for flight, while mammals evolved fur to regulate body temperature. Fish perfected gills for extracting oxygen from water, whereas insects developed completely different respiratory systems using networks of tiny air tubes. There is rarely only one solution to a biological challenge. Instead, evolution explores many different possibilities simultaneously, preserving whichever solutions prove most successful under particular circumstances. The immortal jellyfish represents one especially unusual branch of that ongoing experiment, offering a solution unlike almost any other known in the animal kingdom. As the years pass, the growing body of research continues deepening our understanding rather than diminishing the mystery. Each scientific paper reveals another layer of complexity hidden within the jellyfish's seemingly simple body. Every experiment demonstrates how carefully coordinated the transformation truly is, while every new discovery highlights how much remains unknown. Far from reaching the end of the story, researchers increasingly appreciate that they are only beginning to understand the full significance of this extraordinary marine animal. Meanwhile, beneath the gentle movement of the waves, life continues exactly as it always has. Tiny plankton drift with the currents, schools of fish weave effortlessly through shafts of sunlight, and sea turtles glide silently above forests of swaying seagrass. Completely unaware of the fascination it inspires, it simply continues doing what it has done for millions of years, living according to the patient rhythms of the ocean that has always been its home. Every species, no matter how unusual, exists as part of a much larger web of life. It does not live in isolation, nor does it survive solely because of its own extraordinary abilities. The currents that carry it, the plankton that feed it, the water chemistry surrounding it, and the countless other organisms sharing its habitat all contribute to its continued existence. Like every living creature on Earth, its story is inseparable from the environment that supports it. This connection becomes especially clear when we consider the health of the world's oceans. Although the sea often appears endless from the shoreline, marine ecosystems are surprisingly delicate. Coral reefs depend upon clear, sunlit water and stable temperatures. Seagrass meadows require enough light to reach the seabed, while providing sheltered nursery grounds for countless young fish. Kelp forests flourish only where cool, nutrient-rich currents continually replenish their surroundings. Every habitat relies upon a careful balance of physical conditions that has developed gradually over thousands of years. The immortal jellyfish shares that dependence. Clean water allows plankton populations to thrive, providing a reliable source of food. Suitable underwater surfaces give the stationary polyp stage places to attach and grow. Stable coastal currents help transport the free-swimming medusae through productive feeding grounds while connecting different populations over time. Even an organism capable of reversing its own life cycle cannot exist without the larger marine ecosystem that quietly supports every stage of its development. Scientists therefore study the immortal jellyfish not only in laboratories, but also in its natural environment. Field researchers travel aboard research vessels, collecting samples from coastal waters while carefully recording temperature, salinity, ocean currents, and the abundance of plankton. These observations help reveal how environmental conditions influence the species from one season to the next. Laboratory experiments explain what the jellyfish is capable of doing, while field studies show how those remarkable abilities function within the ever-changing world of the ocean itself. Marine research often begins long before the first sample is collected. Oceanographers examine satellite images revealing sea surface temperatures and chlorophyll concentrations, indicators of where microscopic phytoplankton may be especially abundant. Weather forecasts help predict changing currents and wave conditions, while tide tables determine the safest times to work along rocky coastlines. Every successful expedition depends upon careful planning because the ocean is constantly changing. Even after centuries of exploration, researchers continue adapting their methods to match the remarkable complexity of the marine environment. Once aboard a research vessel, the pace becomes surprisingly calm. Fine mesh nets are lowered gently into the water to collect drifting plankton and tiny jellyfish without damaging their delicate bodies. Water samples are carefully preserved for later analysis, while microscopes aboard the vessel allow scientists to begin identifying organisms almost immediately. Every transparent jellyfish is examined with patience because many species appear remarkably similar at first glance. Tiny differences in tentacle arrangement, body shape, or reproductive structures often provide the clues needed for accurate identification. Back in the laboratory, those careful observations continue. Some jellyfish remain in specially designed aquariums where researchers can observe their complete life cycle over many months. Others provide small tissue samples for genetic analysis, allowing scientists to compare populations collected from different parts of the world. Piece by piece, each observation contributes to a growing understanding of how the immortal jellyfish lives, reproduces, responds to environmental change, and carries out its remarkable biological transformation. The study of marine life has always rewarded this kind of patience. Many important discoveries have taken years or even decades before their significance became fully understood. A curious observation recorded during one expedition may later become the key to explaining results collected somewhere else entirely. The immortal jellyfish followed exactly this path. What first appeared to be an unusual laboratory observation gradually developed into one of the most fascinating biological discoveries of modern marine science. It serves as a reminder that careful observation often reveals wonders that hurried investigations might easily overlook. Perhaps that lesson extends beyond science itself. The oceans encourage us to slow our pace and notice details that are easily missed. A tiny jellyfish drifting almost invisibly through clear water may seem insignificant, until we learn its remarkable story. A cloud of microscopic plankton appears empty to the naked eye until magnification reveals thousands of living organisms moving through every drop. Even the gentle current passing beneath a boat carries nutrients, larvae, and countless forms of life on journeys spanning entire oceans. The sea has always rewarded curiosity with discovery. As the immortal jellyfish continues its quiet existence beneath the waves, it remains completely unaware that people around the world have come to see it as one of biology's most extraordinary ambassadors. It asks for no recognition and offers no dramatic display. Instead, it simply follows the ancient rhythm of the ocean, drifting with the currents, feeding upon microscopic life, and quietly carrying within its transparent body an elegant reminder that nature still possesses countless mysteries waiting patiently beneath the surface, ready to be discovered by those willing to look just a little more closely. One question continues to return whenever people first hear about the immortal jellyfish. If this tiny animal can restart its own life cycle, how old could one actually become? At first, the answer seems simple. If the jellyfish repeatedly returns to an earlier stage of development instead of dying from old age, then perhaps it could continue doing so indefinitely. Yet biology is rarely that straightforward. The distinction between theoretical possibility and life in the natural world is one of the most important parts of understanding this remarkable species. In theory, a healthy, immortal jellyfish that successfully completes its life cycle reversal whenever necessary might avoid death through the normal process of aging. This is why scientists sometimes describe the species as biologically immortal. The phrase refers specifically to aging rather than complete survival. It does not mean the animal can never die. Instead, it means there appears to be no built-in biological limit, requiring the jellyfish to reach old age in the same way that most animals eventually do. Life in the ocean, however, presents countless dangers long before old age becomes important. Every day, the immortal jellyfish shares its environment with predators far larger than itself. Small fish constantly search the water for drifting plankton and transparent jellyfish. Sea turtles glide through coastal waters, feeding upon soft-bodied marine animals whenever opportunities arise. Larger jellyfish sometimes capture smaller relatives, while countless tiny predators consume jellyfish larvae before they ever reach adulthood. The ocean is filled with mouths constantly searching for food, and the immortal jellyfish is no exception to this ancient cycle of predator and prey. Storms create another challenge. Powerful waves can stir coastal waters into swirling clouds of sand and debris, carrying delicate organisms far from their usual habitats. While the immortal jellyfish has evolved remarkable flexibility, it cannot control the immense physical forces moving the sea itself. Like every drifting organism, it must continually adapt to the changing ocean around it. Disease also remains an unavoidable part of marine life. Although we often imagine the oceans as clean and endless, they contain countless microscopic bacteria, viruses, and parasites interacting with every form of life beneath the surface. Most pass unnoticed, yet together they form another important part of the marine ecosystem. Scientists continue studying how these microorganisms influence jellyfish populations, because even the most remarkable life cycle cannot protect an animal from every biological threat it may encounter. Competition for food presents another quiet challenge. The immortal jellyfish depends upon healthy populations of microscopic plankton drifting through the surrounding water. If environmental conditions reduce those food supplies, survival becomes increasingly difficult. Thousands of other marine animals rely upon the very same drifting organisms. Tiny fish larvae, small crustaceans, and countless invertebrates all compete within the same invisible world of microscopic food. The immortal jellyfish succeeds not because food is unlimited, but because it has become exceptionally well adapted to making use of whatever the currents provide. This balance between remarkable biological ability and ordinary environmental challenges helps explain why scientists avoid describing the immortal jellyfish as truly immortal. The animal has not escaped nature. Instead, it remains completely dependent upon it. Its extraordinary cellular flexibility represents one survival strategy among many, but it does not remove the countless risks that accompany life in the ocean. Predators, changing currents, disease, pollution, and simple chance continue shaping its existence just as they do for every other marine species. Perhaps that makes its story even more remarkable. Rather than imagining an invincible creature beyond the reach of natural laws, we discover a tiny jellyfish quietly surviving within the same beautiful yet demanding world shared by every ocean animal. Its extraordinary gift does not separate it from nature. Instead, it demonstrates just how inventive evolution can become, while still remaining firmly connected to the realities of everyday life beneath the waves. This perspective also changes the way many scientists think about the word immortal. In popular culture, immortality often suggests endless life free from danger or hardship. The immortal jellyfish offers a far gentler interpretation. It reminds us that biology is rarely absolute. Aging, development, and survival exist along a spectrum shaped by evolution rather than fixed rules. The jellyfish has not conquered death. Instead, it has developed an elegant way of responding to one particular challenge while continuing to face every other challenge presented by the ocean. Most will never experience the extraordinary transformation that has made their species famous. They will simply pulse gently through the water, feeding, growing, reproducing, and becoming part of the vast interconnected web of life beneath the sea. That possibility, resting silently inside one of the smallest creatures in the ocean, continues to remind scientists that nature often holds possibilities far more extraordinary than anyone first imagines. One final aspect of the immortal jellyfish's story is perhaps the most remarkable of all. It reminds us that scientific discovery is never truly finished. Even after decades of careful research, scientists continue publishing new studies that refine earlier ideas, uncover additional details, and occasionally overturn assumptions that once seemed firmly established. The immortal jellyfish has already transformed our understanding of regeneration and cellular flexibility, yet researchers believe there is still much more to learn. Every experiment completed today becomes the foundation for the questions that will be asked tomorrow. Around the world, laboratories continue investigating this remarkable species using techniques that would have seemed almost unimaginable only a generation ago. Powerful microscopes reveal living cells in extraordinary detail, allowing scientists to watch changes unfold almost as they happen. Sophisticated genetic sequencing identifies thousands of genes switching on and off during different stages of the jellyfish's life cycle. Advanced imaging technologies produce detailed pictures of tissues reorganizing themselves as adult medusae gradually transform back into stationary polyps. Together, these tools allow researchers to observe processes that remained completely hidden for most of human history. Many scientists also work together across different countries, sharing discoveries that help build a more complete understanding of the species. Marine biologists studying jellyfish in coastal waters compare their observations with geneticists analyzing DNA inside research laboratories. Oceanographers contribute information about currents, temperatures, and marine habitats, while cell biologists investigate the remarkable behavior of individual tissues. Each field offers a different perspective, and only by combining these observations can researchers begin appreciating the full complexity of the immortal jellyfish's biology. This collaborative approach reflects the nature of modern science itself. Few important discoveries are made entirely by one individual working alone. Instead, progress emerges through thousands of careful observations collected by researchers across many years, each adding another small piece to a puzzle far larger than any single experiment. The story of the immortal jellyfish belongs not only to the animal itself, but also to the generations of scientists whose patience gradually revealed its remarkable abilities. Even with all this knowledge, however, there remain questions without complete answers. Scientists continue investigating precisely which molecular signals trigger the transformation under different environmental conditions. They seek to understand why certain closely related jellyfish species lack the same remarkable flexibility, while Turritopsis dohrnii possesses it so consistently. Researchers also hope to better understand how the animal protects the integrity of its genetic material through repeated cycles of development. Every answer seems to reveal another fascinating mystery waiting just beyond it. Meanwhile, the oceans themselves continue changing in ways that scientists carefully monitor. Ocean temperatures, currents, and marine ecosystems naturally fluctuate over time, while human activity has introduced additional challenges that researchers are working to understand. Long-term observations help reveal how different species respond to these changing conditions, including organisms as small as the immortal jellyfish. Protecting healthy oceans ultimately protects the countless extraordinary forms of life they support, many of which have not yet revealed all of their secrets. Perhaps somewhere beneath the waves, another species already possesses an equally remarkable ability that has simply gone unnoticed. Every year, marine expeditions discover animals unlike anything previously described. Some inhabit deep sea trenches where sunlight has never reached. Others live within coral reefs so complex that countless tiny creatures remain hidden among their branches. The immortal jellyfish teaches us that even familiar coastal waters may still contain astonishing discoveries. There is something wonderfully reassuring about that thought. In an age when it sometimes feels as though every corner of the earth has already been explored, the oceans remind us that genuine discovery is still very much alive. Beneath the gentle movement of the waves, millions of organisms continue living lives that science is only beginning to understand. Some may influence future medicine. Others may reshape our understanding of evolution, genetics, or ecology. Many will simply deepen our appreciation for the astonishing diversity of life that shares our planet. The immortal jellyfish has become one of the finest examples of this enduring sense of wonder. It is not extraordinary because it promises impossible dreams or magical answers. Hidden inside a transparent body, scarcely larger than a grain of rice, is a biological story that has challenged long accepted assumptions and inspired researchers around the world to ask entirely new questions. Measuring only a few millimeters across and drifting almost invisibly beneath the surface, Turritopsis dohrnii has quietly reshaped the way scientists think about development, regeneration, and the remarkable flexibility hidden within living cells. It has reminded us that some of the greatest discoveries do not come from enormous animals or spectacular landscapes, but from patient observation of the ordinary. Beneath its transparent bell lies not a magical secret, but a beautiful example of evolution, revealing possibilities that few people ever imagined. Its story also reminds us that nature is rarely simple. The immortal jellyfish is often introduced as the animal that can live forever, yet the truth is far richer than any headline. Predators continue hunting, storms continue stirring the water, food supplies rise and fall with the changing seasons, and the endless currents carry the jellyfish through an environment that is always shifting. Its remarkable life cycle does not remove it from nature. Instead, it demonstrates just how many different ways evolution has found to help life endure within an ever-changing world. Thank you for joining me on this journey beneath the waves as we explored the remarkable story of the immortal jellyfish and the hidden world it calls home. Until our next journey together, may your curiosity continue to carry you toward the quiet wonders that are always waiting to be discovered, both beneath the oceans and throughout the remarkable world we share.